There will be an online exam on deviant behavior soon. It's a bigger unit. I mean, when's the last time I assigned a unit exam? It's been a while. Although some of you still aren't done with it. That's crazy. The one on extremists was your last one. Okay, so there will be one on deviant behavior soon, but we're not quite there. We're still looking at organized crime, and here are the 3 truths about organized crime. What's the difference between some guy who just goes into a gas station and robs it, or a husband who goes home and beats up his wife or whatever, and organized crime? And here they are, the 3 truths. So there's something that society wants: drugs during Prohibition, alcohol, gambling, prostitution. There's a demand for a product or a service, but that something is illegal, right? Think of Prohibition. They made the manufacture, distribution, and sale of alcohol illegal. But that doesn't mean everyone stopped wanting alcohol. You don't get rid of the demand because you get rid of the legality of the supply. The demand is still there. Okay, so there's something that society wants, but it's illegal. Organized crime steps in and provides it. So during Prohibition, organized crime provided alcohol, including, by the way, this fine town that we live in was the supply storage facility area for the Twin Cities. Yay, we're on the map. Going to give you some examples. Here's the Italian mafia with the 5 New York families. They controlled organized crime. They controlled gambling, prostitution, and drug distribution in New York. The Japanese Yakuza, organized crime in Japan. Same thing. There are things that are illegal in Japan. We don't have the market cornered in the United States on organized crime. There's something illegal in Japan, organized crime steps in, the Japanese Yakuza. Biker gangs, right? You see them once in a while around Stillwater. This is kind of an interesting story. Sorry? Hells Angels, yeah. World War II, soldiers go off to Europe and they're given the authority to drive a tank, multi-million-dollar tank, or fly a jet, fly a helicopter, whatever. World War II ends, they come back here, they can't even get a job at a gas station, right? There simply isn't sufficient job opportunities. So over there's somebody. Now I'm simplifying this, but over there's somebody, they come back over here, they're nobody, right? They become disillusioned. Over there, they're important. They come back over here and they're not important. Of course, I don't mean this. What I'm saying is this is what's going on in their mind. Over there, I was somebody. I was a patriot. I was fighting for my country. I was important. Over here, they don't even trust me to sweep a hallway. Many World War II veterans became disillusioned with American society. Screw my job, screw my family, screw my town. I want a Harley and I want the open road. And they found each other. Well, how long can you live on that? How long can you survive? You still have to do things like buy food. Where do you think they got the money?
Stole it.
Maybe.
Oh, I thought we were going with.
Where did biker gangs get the money?
Drugs.
Yeah, drugs.
Oh.
They became drug suppliers. Society wants it. Biker gangs supplied it. They make their money that way.
Have you watched Sons of Anarchy?
I started it. I haven't finished. I heard it's very good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay. Let's keep going. Here's the Russian mob. Those are large individuals. Drug cartels, Mexican drug cartels. You are looking at Mexico if it were seen a different way. You and I look at that world map back there and say, yep, there's Earth, and those are nations. But Mexican drug cartels, they don't look at Mexico like that. They look at it like this. They divide Mexico in their own way. Mexico has states, just like we have states. But the cartels divide it, and states are meaningless, right? Here are the various drug cartels, and look, division of territory, borders, conflicts, arbitration, things that I talked about yesterday. Fascinating stuff. The drug cartels are as well armed as the Mexican government itself. Fair fight between the Mexican government and the cartels. And that's why the US is sort of involved as well, because you can see that we border it. The argument for a wall, one of the arguments for a wall is it's a way of preventing the product that these guys are supplying from getting into the US. A problem with that is you're fighting the wrong group. You're fighting the supply chain. You're not fighting the demand chain, right? You're punishing. You gotta do both. One of the things that we say to the Mexican government is stop allowing all the supply. You know what the Mexicans say back to us? Stop having a bunch of drug addicts. That it's your fault, America. You're the problem. You've got the drug addicts. I believe we're on the medal stand for that one too. You know what I'm saying? Top 3. I don't know if we're number 1. We probably are. Number 1 in drug addicts. Sweet. Okay. Any questions on this one? One slide left. So this is organized crime. This is something called international crime. Okay? So you need to know the difference. Oh, I see a test question where I describe the crime and you tell me, is that organized crime? Is there an international crime? The good news is there are only 4 types of international crimes. There they are. These are also known as, like crimes against Earth. Crimes against Earth. Okay? Think about this.
Like Thanos.
Okay, fine. When the Germans, go ahead. Iran is number 1. Wonderful. Are we top 3? Are we on the medal stand? You keep fighting. Okay. Germany, World War 1930s, right? They legalized the execution of all Jews. It was called the final solution. Did the Germans break the law before? Did the Germans break the law?
Oh, because it was the law.
It was the law. Aha. But after World War II, the Germans were held accountable at Nuremberg, the Nuremberg trials. And when the Germans said, how can we be accused of doing something illegal when we made it legal? The response was, nope, you did an international crime. Just because your country legalized it doesn't matter. It was illegal against Earth. In other words, no country can legalize it. And there are 4. There are 4 things you can't do anywhere no matter what. Genocide. Genocide is a specific thing. If a gunman shows up here and kills all juniors, is that genocide? There's only 1 or 2 answers, right?
No.
It's either yes or no. Take a guess. How many of you think, yeah, that's genocide? Juniors.
What's the question?
Is it genocide?
Yeah.
The execution of all juniors. The guy brings us all into the gym and then says, all right, you juniors. Lines them up, shoots them all. Is that genocide? How many of you say, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Which genocide?
That's what I'm asking you.
No.
You don't think so? Okay, how many of you say, no? I mean, it's terrible, but it's not genocide. And the answer is it is not genocide. It's a mass murder. It's terrible, but it is not genocide. Genocide has a specific definition. Race, religion, and they're still fuzzy on the potential of sexual orientation. Gay people. Okay, that's genocide. Okay.
Crimes against humanity, that's kind of vague. Wouldn't
Sure
genocide
is.
fall under that?
It could, but crime against humanity is specific. A crime against humanity is when you torture a group of people. Killing of them is genocide.
Right.
Yes?
I read on the news that there's some sort of like ethnic cleansing thing going on in China. Wouldn't that be
Definitely.
one of these?
Yep. Very good. Ethnic cleansing is genocide. Ethnic cleansing and genocide are interchangeable. Ethnic cleansing sounds like you're cleaning something with, Tide. Oh, we're just cleaning the ethnic. Now it's clean. What you're doing is you're wiping out a group of people. Okay? Yes, you're exactly right. If you look at this map back here, this chunk of China over here is called Tibet. Tibet was conquered by the Chinese in the 1950s. The people of Tibet do not consider themselves Chinese. They consider themselves Tibetan, and they do not want to be part of China. And the Chinese have, over the years, sort of wiped those people out. Okay, very good. Now, a fair question would be, then why aren't we holding China accountable? Why isn't the world holding the Chinese leadership accountable for genocide? You gonna send American soldiers to arrest those people? Are we gonna send American soldiers to fight and die so that we can arrest the Chinese for killing their own people? And some of you are saying no. Why do we send soldiers to fight in World War II? Why do we do that? Did the Germans attack us? No. Then why do we do it? Yes.
Because I suppose like we were pulled into it by Japan, but
Okay, then why didn't we fight Japan?
because they were allies.
Sorry?
Hitler declared war on us.
He did. He declared war on us. So is that the answer?
But
Is that why we fought Germany? Because Hitler declared war on us?
no, it's because his goal was world domination, and we're part of the world, right?
The world domination thing. I know. You were taught that, weren't you? No. Okay. The whole Hitler wanted to take over the world. No. Europe. He wanted to create a unified Europe of white people. That's what Aryan means, white people. He saw the Americans as fellow white people. I'm just trying to get you to think a little bit about when a country violates these rules, how come sometimes something's done about it and then sometimes nothing's done about it? Right? There's genocide going on in that country right there. That's the Sudan. And there's ethnic cleansing going on. That guy, that the president of that country is under indictment. He has been charged with violating these rules. And North Korea is definitely guilty of genocide, but there's no charge against him. Well, how come? Yes.
Allegiances and trade.
Yeah, it's well, what's in our interest? We don't want to charge everybody because maybe they have something we want, right? We sometimes the U.S. acts on its own benefits, and so that and some people have a real problem with that. Like, no, you don't get to treat people differently because if they're both violating the law, they're both lawbreakers. You can't say, well, yeah, but he has gum and I like gum.
But you said like they're violating Earth rules rather
rules.
than United States rules. So
Correct.
does that mean like Canada could go to China and try and arrest those people? Because
Okay, well, you're identifying one of the major flaws of this whole thing, and that is, how do you hold these? Why are you on your phone? How do you hold countries accountable? How do you hold them accountable? Because there is no secret Earth army, right? If you charge the leader of a country, they don't send in robots to arrest the guy. The only way to apprehend someone is if the country he happens to be in arrests him and turns him over. And if he's the leader of a country, how's that going to happen? If there's a revolution, they could arrest him afterwards and turn him over. And that's happened a few times. But
Is that not one of the reasons the UN is around?
there is no UN army. Sometimes the UN asks for countries to donate soldiers and then they fight a war, Korean War. But there is no military unit whose job it is to enforce these laws. It's based on the good faith of countries to turn over their leaders if the UN, if the court charges them, will you please turn over your leader? And some say, yep, and some say, nope. Yep.
you said that China conquered Tibet in the 1950s, and how do we charge them for killing their own people? But you just said a lot of those Tibetans don't consider themselves Chinese, even though they are a part of China. Wouldn't they have they tried to enlist help from countries' armies?
Sure, but what are you gonna do? China makes a lot of stuff that we like. Right, 2 years ago, Russia took over, you see that teeny little peninsula right there, that little green, that little teardrop right there? That belongs to this green country. Russia took it over. They just took it over.
When?
About 2 years ago. The Russians simply invaded and took it over. That violates rules of war. You can't just invade a country cuz. Clearly violated this rule. Nothing's going to be done about it. Are you going to send soldiers, American soldiers, to arrest Vladimir Putin? That's one of the flaws I'm trying to get across to you badly. One of the flaws is these are somewhat unenforceable. Because China won't allow an international force within its borders. Get out of here. We got it. We rule us. You understand? That's one of the flaws. Question? Adrian? Okay. This is a slide called transnational crime. Okay, so good God, you've been raising your hand a lot. I like it, so go ahead.
Okay, just a quick question. Violations of war rules and violations of Geneva Convention, what are the difference between those?
I'm just going to say for now, don't worry about it.
All right.
So these are violations against Earth. These are crimes committed, and when you commit them, you cross over a national border. So the biggest one is smuggling. And by the way, I mean people smuggling. Smuggling people. You can see the larger the circle, the more that's been smuggled. But it's not only people. Right, look at this, 38 billion in cocaine smuggled from South America to North America. Here's smuggling of migrants, right? People sneaking into the United States. 34 billion smuggled from South America to Europe. Here's heroin. Afghanistan is one of the leading producers of heroin. They grow a lot of poppy in Afghanistan. Prescription drugs is one of the biggest problems, right? They make cheap copies in other countries and then they smuggle it in. Right?
Oh, one of them, I've heard of that, the little tiny red pill, Yaba, called Yaba in China. And you can get
What's it do? What's it do, man?
I've never heard of that.
Okay. All right. Any questions? So we have learned today about three things: organized crime, international crime, and transnational crime. The difference between international crime and transnational crime is international crime is crimes against Earth, and there are 4 of them. Here they are. Transnational crime is smuggling of something, drugs, people, usually those 2 things. Not exclusively those 2 things, right? That phone that you think is an Apple phone, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a cheap copy made in China that they make look like an Apple phone, but it actually isn't. Any of you ever purchased a used phone online and you think it's an Apple phone? I did. I purchased for my daughter. I bought an Apple phone. This was 2-3 years ago, so it was an Apple iPhone 6, 7, something. Okay, but I bought it online through Gazelle, which is an online service, and it was coming from China. I thought it was an Apple phone. It was confiscated when it arrived in Los Angeles by the United States government because they believed it was a counterfeit phone, and it sat there for 6 months while they tried to figure out if it was actually an Apple phone. And then I got it, because it was. But of course, my daughter didn't get a phone for her birthday. Yes, dear.
I also want to check when you're buying stuff online, like if it's Amazon has like who made it or who's selling it, so it'll tell you.
Definitely check this stuff out. Yep, I agree.
Wait, so it was a real Apple?
It was an Apple phone, but they held it to make sure it was an app.
Took them 6 months to figure that out.
Because it came from China. That's where I bought it from. So they were checking.
And so in 19.
It's time. Let's make it happen.
I gotta send my.
So you do have some sort of an online thing?